Mic. Camera. Action.
You know all about the high-class life, don't you, Bernie?
Like what?
Like, I don't know, say for instance, what kind of wine are you supposed to have with fish?
No, I don't. White, usually?
Mm-hmm. That takes a lot of money to have so much culture, don't it? To enjoy the finer things in life that you love so much. The ritzy hotels, the first class flying off to the big cities. I mean, it takes a lot of money to live that way, don't it?
No, left to my own devices, I would not have been traveling in such an
But if left to someone else's devices, you were. And after you killed Mrs. Nugent, you kept on spending her money, didn't you? A lot of it. And if you wouldn't have been caught, you'd still be spending her money today. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you?
All right. Welcome back to Filmography, the show dedicated to watching every credited film from an actor's complete back catalogue, from past debut through to present day, in chronological order. Each episode, I'm joined by an esteemed guest to watch and discuss the next entry from their focused filmography, and consider how it ranks them as their career, and whether we can trace any typecasting trends or topic traits or theatrical tics. Today, I'm joined by the American Wife duo Tim and Amber to discuss McConaughey's third and thus far final collaboration with Richard Linklater in biographical black comedy Bernie from 2011. We watch, you listen, and hopefully watch along too. Good evening to the pair of you. Thank you for joining me again.
Good to be with you, Jack. This is a good one.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
And I really like we're kind of creating this run of, movies which are kind of meaningful, have links to, okay, we've got 2 out of the 3, so that's not too bad, is it? A Time to Kill was meaningful. Bernie's meaningful in terms of kind of connection to you, Amber particularly, but obviously Tim, with you two as you come now as the American Wife duo. Yeah. So I'm really glad that you're back to discuss another one, which we can kind of, I can really learn some stuff from you, I hope, again.
Yeah, you can't get rid of us.
And you can't get more local to the area, to this film than Amber.
Specifically, yeah.
So, yeah.
That's why it's exciting, isn't it? Because there's some mentions in this movie about kind of the culture and the people, and there's these kind of funny jokes about going one town over. Very Parks and Rec, actually. Go one town over, like we hate them and they're the white trash version of us, and those kind of jokes. So I can't wait to get into whether that's quite unquote accurate or whether that's just, being played for laughs.
Yeah, I can't wait to say.
It's such an interesting movie, isn't it? It's,
yeah.
I think, we were talking just before we started recording. This was quite unexpected for me. I didn't really know anything about it. It went quite under the radar when it came out, I think. And I think that's the best way to see it, is to not really know the backstory, not really know. I tried to read the article actually this is based on, but I couldn't get to it as behind like a paywall.
Oh no, I'm subscribed to Texas Monthly.
Oh, okay.
You pay for that? No, I don't. You don't have to pay to be subscribed to them.
You just have to be Texan and prove it.
I guess so.
Yeah, I like that idea. So yeah, there's a lot you could know about this before seeing it, couldn't you? But I think coming into this without a lot of information is a really fascinating way to kind of let this story unfold before you.
Well, it's kind of a true crime, like not exactly mockumentary, but it does bring in some really strong documentary filmmaking styles and techniques. And I got to be honest, this is the 3rd time I've seen it, and I don't think I fully appreciated that until watching it again this week. Like I in the back of my mind, I remembered the story being told, and I remembered it being, a dramatic, acted film, but I kind of forgot how much it feels like documentary throughout. And Linklater does some really interesting things with like blending those documentary subjects back into the scenes with other actors.
I think it cracks me up to know, because obviously we're talking about this film because McConaughey is in it, but he's not the role you would think. And it's funny because he revealed that too in an interview. I don't know if you know about that, but the 21 years later Linklater
no, please tell me about it.
There was he was talking about this role in this movie when he auditioned for it, and he got an email saying, yeah, we'd love to have you. And he's like, great, I'm so excited to be Bernie. Like, and he was like, oh, I'm so sorry, there's been a miscommunication. Like, Jack Black's already got the part. And he said, no, I want to fight for that role. I want that role. And he's like, you're never going to believe, like, I'm from Longview. Like, I know this story. And he's like, I'm so sorry, Jack Black's already got the part. So it's funny to me that he's not the star of this, even though he is so specific and close to home for him.
And that hit me as funny as well, is that it's amazing that they brought Jack Black into this to play this very Texan role. But he does very well. I mean, Amber, you're the true connoisseur of this as to whether or not he pulls off the Texan, but I think he did a really great job in amongst so many genuine Texans.
Yeah, he still did a great job. I will say, though I do know of this story, this happened back in 96 and I was a baby. So I didn't actually know Bernie Tita, and I didn't know, but I do know some of the people that were actually interviewed, that those are real people and they really live there. And my grandma knows some of these people. So it's like, I know these are for real.
I'm almost shocked that your grandma wasn't one of these people. Sat on the, that woman 3 doors down, you'll never guess what happened to her. And she literally, I mean, she's a wonderful grandma. She sends us letters that are stream of consciousness of like, I was thinking about this, I'm telling you about this and this and this and this. And then when you see these people talking in that way, it's like, they've been percolating these thoughts and they're now able to get them out. That feels so true to me for the people of Texas that I've met.
Yeah. And there is that part in the movie where there's a guy that kind of is sitting down with you and telling you about Texas, about the different parts. And that was so accurate. It made me laugh. It makes me laugh every time. So this area where they're talking about is Northeast Texas, which he talked about being behind the pine curtain. And that's true because it's the only place in Texas where there's like real pretty
proper trees.
Everywhere else is kind of like a desert.
Anyway, sorry, Jack.
Sorry.
I mean, that was one of my key questions. Was like, no, it's great. I love that moment. Obviously watching it through and seeing that little infographic that comes up. It almost feels kind of like there's parts that feel quite Mike Judge to me. Like he's just done like Office Space and Idiocracy and things like that. At times it almost feels like we're pushing into that kind of territory. But I love to see when the infographic comes up and the guy's talking. And the first thing I thought was like, oh, I've got to ask Amber, how accurate is this description? All the different facets of Texas, because it was hilarious.
Yeah, 100% accurate. Like all of it. Carcinogenic Coast. That's hilarious because we would. That's where you go. That's the only place you can go to get to the water. People go on beach vacations. If you can't afford to go to Florida for the nice beach, that's your beach. Is like it is. It stinks. It's horrible, but it's what you got. It's what you're closest to.
And Amber's grown up in one part of Texas, so I've had the ability to visit that area, but also lived in this other part, which is where Bernie's set, and the people are different, and the environment is different, and it does change the people. We're from the UK, and we know that one city over, the accent is different, and there'll be a rivalry between their two football teams. Well, Texas is 3 times bigger than the UK, but there's still, I wouldn't say it's like city to city differences that I'm aware of, but those areas that were depicted in that infographic really, that's kind of how it splits up. Is it? Yeah, which part of Texas, rather than just specifically which city, I think.
Yeah, yes, I agree with that. Except I will say they do get kind of, he talked about it was the part of, so there's like Longview, that's the whole northeastern Texas area. You've got your big city like Tyler and Longview, and then you've got Carthage, which is a little smaller. And then underneath is, I'm blanking on the name. The one that they have to go to for the trial. San Augustine.
Okay.
Is that right? Yeah. That's where they went to the trial.
I can't remember where they had the trial.
Anyway, they're like, no, those are for real rednecks. They're like cousins marrying cousins over there. And there is a little bit of that in the Northeast Texas area. There's a lot of, I was told I should not marry in that area because I'm born there. And they said, you shouldn't do that. You need to go elsewhere. So I came to the UK.
That worked out well for me.
I think it's the same character. He's got a really amazing line of dialogue here just before the trial. I think it's the same character, the infographic. And he says, they've got more tattoos than teeth. When he's describing that area of the, I was absolutely killing myself in the sofa watching it. I thought it was a brilliant line.
So yeah, it's interesting also to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, it feels entrenched. It feels like kind of that. It's that kind of truth that it's aimed for, quote unquote truth. You feel like that really does come across.
Absolutely.
And,
yeah.
I mean, that's got to be Linklater making this film, isn't it? That I think an outsider from out of Texas is not going to be able to make this film as well. I mean, I think there was some pushback still from locals as to how it was depicted. But if it had been someone not even Texan, you just couldn't have made it. No one would have cooperated in that way. I think you've got to be Texan to do it.
I think that's definitely something we'll talk to towards the tail end of this. The idea, the response of people from the area and the response afterwards, and kind of some of the results of this movie coming out. I think we're going to have to go into depth into really and see how we all feel about that. But sorry, Amber, I totally cut across you. You were launching into something.
It probably wasn't important because I don't remember what I was going to say.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
But no, it's okay. I think that. Oh yes, I was thinking about the history, that you get a little bit of the history of, like briefly, where the money is in this, the culture of the money. Because you see obviously some people that probably are on the lower income side. They can't afford good healthcare. They can't afford good dentistry. But then you see the lady that he killed, who was a rich widow. She was an heiress.
And the money came from oil rights.
Yeah. And royalty checks.
I mean, a personal anecdote was I remember when we went to the tax office for Amber to get her taxes done, and the person next over from us, that was one of the first questions. Do you have any oil rights? Is that where some of the money's coming from? I mean, you wouldn't think that here in the UK, but there are people for whom that is just part of where their income was from. And that's really funny.
Yeah.
That, again, being, we watch it and we think, oh, that's interesting. She had her money from oil. Over there, it's like, no, loads of people have got that.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I feel like they did that justice in helping you to just grab a snapshot of the history of Texas, of that part specifically. That was very accurate as well. The boomtown, you do see, you see there's a huge gap in the
wealth gap.
The wealth gap, yeah.
Oh yeah.
People are either very rich or not at all.
I think that's well depicted here, isn't it? In terms of the people that orbit around kind of Marjorie and Bernie, people that work for her, and the people that are, like you say, are in the town, and the way that they depict, whether they're actors, whether they are the real townsfolk, the way that they depict them are really leaning into kind of tropes, aren't they? But I guess some stereotypes come from, kernels of truth. Some, unfortunately, then get exaggerated into places we don't want them to go. But that kind of sitting on your porch, like being nosy and like looking into what everyone else is doing, and the kind of type of people that are being interviewed and being involved really feels quite accurate for what I would imagine this kind of town would be like, for sure.
Absolutely. And like you said, Grandma, she'll just write us letters of streams of consciousness, but a lot of these letters have to do with the fact that she sat on her porch and she watched the people across the street. They're somebody else moved in and
someone got a new car.
They got a new car last week, and it's like, we don't care about this, but it matters to them.
And for some of these small townspeople who maybe these are retirees, like grandma, not working, this is it for them. They love their community, and people are neighborly and they are hospitable. But along with that is the gossip, is the interest in what other people are doing, because there's a fine line between being interested in your neighbors and your community and gossiping and spreading rumor. But this film, a lot of it is about that. It's about the gossip and the rumor and the expectations.
Which is definitely true here, though, isn't it, as well? I grew up in a village town, and that's absolutely the same. Everybody knows everybody, and everybody knows each other's business. And, I think we do have our version of that here, too. And I think, it's brilliantly depicted. I really thought it felt like, for a movie that starts, what's the title card? It says, what you're fixing to see is a true story, which felt kind of Coen-esque and felt playful. I liked it.
Yeah.
It told you that this was based on a true story, but isn't going to give you... No, it isn't just going to be, as you said, Tim, like just a full-out true crime. But this sort of really does let you feel like what you're watching is. I think the only word I can use, and I think I've used it already, is authentic. It feels authentic, and I think you're right. That's Linklater, that's McConaughey, that's all the people, the townsfolk, the actual actors that they've cast.
Yeah.
I mean, Jack Black is awesome in this, but I think there's a line early on in the movie when they talk about how he's come into the town, hasn't he? Did they say he's from Louisiana, maybe? I think.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, which is very close there. Like, Louisiana border is right. So it's very possible, because I think he went to university there in Louisiana and then crossed the border. It's only about a 30-minute drive to cross the border. So it's not that.
No,
that state line gets blurred. I think. Yeah,
I thought that was probably a little nice right around of like, if his accent does slip, then I'll drop in this line of dialogue, and then at least that explains it all away.
Yeah. I would do it.
I'm sad that you couldn't read the article, because there's an update to the article too. They wrote another one in June 2016, but it's by a guy named Skip Hollandsworth, and he's from Texas too. So I think did an excellent job of outlining the story, trying to get the facts as much as he could, and quoting the townspeople as much as he could. And then Richard Linklater came in and said, "I've read your article. I love this. Let's make it into a film." And I think he did justice to that article.
And it's an adaptation that feels like it's adapted from an article that's being gathered from talking to local people and people who were involved.
Yeah.
And that's kind of funny, is that it pays almost homage to the fact that it came via an article. Yeah.
I think you're right. And it fits so perfectly into kind of the zeitgeist of the time, doesn't it? 2011, season 6 or 7 of The Office? And we're into like season 4 or 5 of Parks and Rec. So we're really into this kind of... You're right.
American audiences then understand what a mockumentary is. Yeah.
It's not quite the right word. You're right, Tim. I agree with you, because it features that, but then it's almost like District 9 starts off as a mockumentary, doesn't it, and then slips into a sci-fi action movie. This kind of plays with those two worlds.
Yeah.
So it really fits in perfectly with that kind of zeitgeist of that, but also really predates this current societal obsession with true crime. It really is kind of finger on the pulse, but also really understanding.
Yeah.
And again, tying back into that sense of like gossiping and wanting to know and what's the truth. And it's really cleverly pitched, I think, this movie.
Yeah. And you see at the very end, no spoilers, it just at the very end, you see clips during the end credits that you see Jack Black talking to Bernie, the real Bernie. So they all went and they talked to the real person. They tried to stay as accurate as they could to this. And I just really appreciate that they were able to do both. That is such an interesting thing. Like they pulled in as much truth as they could, but then also had this fun.
That there is a bias to this, and I think we'll get to that. There is a bias and a level of, should we call it warmth?
Yeah.
To this story, while at the same time starting off as a journalistic approach. And it feels like it shouldn't work, but it really does. And it's kind of surprising, like you said, that this is one of those ones that went under the radar, because a film that's this well made, how did this go under the radar? It's a really competently put together, somewhat unusual film that, kind of surprising more people don't talk about this.
Yeah, and quick too. It was only made in 22 days. That's wild to me. I'm like, wow.
When you consider all the components and all the elements, and the cast is massive because of all these people that are being interviewed. Yeah, for sure. I mean, they must have been moving at quite a pace making this.
Yeah.
And it looks, for the budget, $6 million, it looks good. I mean, we know Linklater's a great filmmaker, but often he is on that indie scale where it's, grab a camera, walk and talk, all the before movies. I love them, but you can see how they make those cheap and quick. This feels like it has got money behind it, more than $6 million, it feels like, I think.
It's a great budget to work with. But
just even that first scene when you see Bernie doing the whole kind of cadaver class, all of that feels really high end. Again, like pre-Dexter, right? I know he's not murdered this guy, but that kind of has that feel again of like, there's something just off about this guy as he's running through this process. But the quality of the kind of filmmaking there, and the makeup and the staging and you're drawn in straight away to the world of Bernie. So warmth is the right word for it, I think, that you warm to him immediately, knowing that kind of sucker punch is coming the whole time. This is such a weird one. Sorry, I don't want to cut across you, but it's such a weird because I think we're all in the same boat that we don't kind of want to say what. Normally, I just spoiled the shit out of everything I talk about on this. But I think we're all sort of tiptoeing around because we kind of want people to experience this for themselves without us having trampled all over the story.
I think that you mentioned the introduction to Bernie as he's, working on this cadaver. And I think the more I think about it, the more I think that is very deliberate, that's the introduction, that this idea of you've got this dead body that should be decomposing, looking ill, discoloring, and that his whole job is to put a facade, to make it present as, happy, alive, a little bit. What's he say? Turn the head ever so slightly, welcoming embrace. Kind of thing. And that is Bernie himself. That he's got a very polished front. Even when he gets phone calls and he doesn't want to respond to them straight away. Of course, Marjorie, I'll be there in 10 minutes. No, it's no problem. And then you realize, well, it is a problem. He is annoyed. And that throughout this film, you've got to kind of watch it with that feeling of, okay, we're following Bernie, we're warming to Bernie. We think maybe the filmmakers and the actors involved have warmed to Bernie as well. But at the same time, what is a jury going to think? What is a judge going to think? What is a wider audience going to think? And if you hadn't warmed to him, you're going to maybe see that facade for what it is. That he is, for whatever reasons, maybe background or experiences he's been through as well, he is having to put on a brave face. And it's just an interesting fact that his work ties in really well with that theme.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I talk about the new article that came out? The June 24th. It's not new. It's 10 years old, but it was newer than this article they based the film on. So did we agree that we've spoiled this already? Like, can we talk about the case? I don't know.
We haven't, but I think also they sort of mention it about 20 minutes into the movie, to be fair, don't they? So you kind of get introduced Bernie and you start to like him. You have that whole lovely scene of him driving, don't you? Singing along, like his kind of gospel-y sing-along. Although he does drive past a logging truck, and I cannot see any of those in a movie now without thinking about Final Destination 2.
We were behind one the other day on the road, and we
got
Final Destination and overtook it as quickly as we could.
Absolutely, you always do, don't you? But then I think as soon as you start getting into the townsfolk talking, obviously then you get the hint that it's going to build up something. I think it's pretty early on that they say about the case and about what happened. Okay. As soon as you get the funeral of Marjorie's husband, I think they're like, then they started hanging out together, and you never kind of saw coming what. So
that's true. Okay. I won't reveal too much then. I'll just talk about kind of piggybacking on what you were talking about earlier about his facade and this article. So this defense attorney from Houston, her name was Jodi Cole. She came in and said, hang on, I think there's something else to this story. Like, she wanted to reopen the case based on evidence that they found in his house. And it was things like 4 books on childhood sexual abuse healing through that. And it was, she argued that it was absolutely relevant to this case and should be brought forth to explain his possible psychological break. And they brought in 4 psychologists. And it's so interesting because 3 of them said, yes, we definitely agree. He had some trauma in his past that absolutely would lead to a psychological break. But one of them said, no, I think he's a narcissist. And the judge and everyone else, the jury, agreed with the one. In that article, it's interesting because the original prosecutor, which is Matthew McConaughey's role, Danny Buck Davidson, he was quoted as saying, well, we don't forgive back shooters in Texas, especially one who back shoots a woman. And I just feel like that is such a true, like, that is the culture of Texas a little bit. Like, yes, this probably would inform his past trauma, probably would inform what happened, but
they don't want to deal with the nuance.
But so what?
They want to deal with it. Yeah. They just would rather say he should have known better.
Right.
in Texas.
And I mean, is it risky for me to say that I think sadly, to some degree, maybe Texas is still struggling with how to handle mental health?
Oh, absolutely.
Especially as the culture is, you have to pay for your medical care, you have to pay for your medications. And I think sometimes some people do hold back from getting the help that they need, maybe because they just can't afford it, or they don't think they've got access to it. And that they never deal with certain traumas.
Right.
And I think maybe this is something Linklater and Jack Black managed to unlock through conversations with Bernie, that they realized that there's something more there, because watching the film again, knowing about that article, you can kind of go, okay, he's playing this character with hints of other things, hints of depth and hints of backstory that is not text, but it's definitely in the subtext.
So we're still looking at that kind of culture of, like, man up, and if your limb's not falling off, put a plaster on it, you'll be fine. And
pretty much,
so kind of the physical and the mental well-being is secondary to what needs to be done in the moment. I can see that, and I love that idea of, like, there's 2 things I think you both said separately there that I think we'll talk about Jack Black now, I think, as a performance and his interpretation of Bernie, because there's these comments about him being effeminate, isn't there? And I think he is playing these depths that but allow you to put onto it what you want. Is he an effeminate man, or is there more going on there? We have that really interesting conversation with the crewmate on the cruise, don't we? Where there's kind of hints that could become something, but then the camera takes us somewhere else because Marjorie drags him off. And I think you can feel that there's something going on behind the facade, behind the surface, for sure. And then I think that feeds into Black's performance, where Amber, you were saying this idea of, like, is he a trauma victim or is he a narcissist? I think Black plays it right on the line. I think again, like, it's totally up to interpretation whether you feel like he's made the most of this situation and totally taken advantage of this woman and for his own narcissistic need to feel important, or is it he's searching for something that he's never had before and she's provided it? And it's fascinating, isn't it? I think.
But I think too, it also comes down to the culture of the people there, because they are the people of Carthage. I have a good friend from Carthage. I don't want this to sound derogatory. When I say simple, I mean that they don't tend to like to look behind the curtain. Yeah. Like, because he was doing so much good for the community, it didn't matter to them what he had done or how he had done it.
Yeah.
How he got the money to the church didn't matter because he got it to the church.
And all the businesses he helps out, well, they all must know it's Marjorie's money, but they all happily credit it to him. He gave them money. He's the one signing over because she's too mean to do so. But no one's going, how did he convince her to pay that up? How did, you're right. It's like, we're not going to worry about the how. We're just pleased with the what.
And that is a very deeply ingrained thing in Texas culture as well. I would say that even in my generation, that was, well, you just don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just, we don't ask questions. We just appreciate what's been done.
But then on the flip side, doesn't mean people are not going to gossip about it later.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
And that's where we got all these lovely vignettes, isn't it? All these little people. Do you feel like you could tell any difference between the real townsfolk and the actors, or do you think everyone leveled out quite well and it's pretty hard to tell?
Just because I'm from near there, I could tell.
Yeah,
but they all did a really good job.
I couldn't tell. I remember the first time I ever saw the film, I remember thinking, oh, these must be real people. Just, kind of like a hunch watching it. And then at the end, it kind of, by watching the cast list, you can work out who was and who wasn't. But watching it again now, I still, there was one person actually that was the Undertaker, and he had passed away making the film or just after. And I hadn't realized I kind of thought he was an actor because he was in a lot of the scenes with other actors, but at the same time plays it in such a way that line is so blurred that the actors are giving really natural performances and the townspeople are giving really theatrical performances in a way. And it just, the blur between the two I thought was really good. And that's why I think that's why the documentary feel of it still also works with the narrative part of it that would otherwise be, reenactment. But
yeah.
That's what it would be in a documentary. But you just don't see the line as much. No, I think it's kind of one of the things that makes it stick with you.
Yeah.
And really unique. I can't think of anything else I've seen really like this at all.
No.
There's nothing I can unlock that is like this. Like I say, I mean, District 9 is a very weird comparison, but kind of, because it plays those two ideas together. But obviously nowhere near similar in terms of content or the way it approaches the idea. But
I mean, we could, to spoil for what a film you're going to have to look at in a year or two's time, but McConaughey's latest film, The Lost Bus, I'm aware that a lot of the firefighters in that were real firefighters. And it's not the same kind of thing. But again, it's one of those things where you bring in the people with the right skills because them doing their job on screen in a realistic way helps to sell the film. So that's the closest I can think of. But it's, again, like you say, this film is unique. I can't think of anything else that does it in this way.
No. I'm sure there are things, but that the three of us between us haven't come across.
No.
Spider Dan's probably got a whole list of things. He's going, what about this one? And what about this one? And what about that one?
I'll be in the comments.
Yeah, but even so, we're probably looking at half a dozen. I think this really is, offering something fresh and different. And so I can see why, despite McConaughey not being given the role he wanted, he was still up for being in it. And we'll definitely talk about him in a minute because he is amazing. But before we do, we've got to talk about his mum. Because his mum's in this, of course. And she is great.
Yeah. She
and
is
obviously,
great.
It's, as you said, Tim, it's revealed in the credits which character she plays. Because I was sort of had my eye out trying to work out who it might have been all the way through. And I wouldn't have been able to pick it out without being shown. Because her performance, alongside, she's got like somebody else sitting with her who just kind of laughs at everything she says, hasn't she? It's a really, really like kind of highlight of the movie too. I think she has a couple of scenes, doesn't she?
And that's I mean, we'll talk about it maybe more when we come to Matthew McConaughey's role. But the way that she's in this opening scenes and these pieces to camera where she's playing a local person, but then later on in a bit that seems like a bit more of a narrative piece in a diner, she's then up next to Matthew McConaughey. And it's the way that if you don't know who's actors and who's local people, the way that they appear in other scenes and appear in courtroom scenes as just people sat there and other things like that, it just blurs that line so well and they don't stick out at all. No. So I didn't know it was his mum until this time when it says her name, and I said, "Oh," and I was like, "Yeah, that's his mum." And I'm like, "Nope, I had not realized about that before." I genuinely thought she was a local townsperson.
Which I suppose to an extent she kind of is, but just not that actual townsperson.
Well, they did live down the road, didn't they? So they lived in Longview.
Yeah.
So Longview is the next big town over.
30 minutes away. Yeah.
Which is indeed where you're from.
Yeah, that's where I was born. And Matthew McConaughey was there as well. And like I've said before, he went to school with my family and seen him at Pizza King, the local joint that everyone knows about. Like, I do think this film that he just did such a justice to the culture and the way that we do. He brought the funny side to it, because I think a lot of Texans also do that to some real deep, dark stuff. They're kind of laughing about it.
Yeah.
And I don't really know why that is.
and the way that, Danny Buck Davidson, as portrayed in this film, handles the other local townspeople, I think that came across as very real as well. And I think part of that is because he gets these people. He is one of these people. Yeah.
Another lawyer for McConaughey. We're on his fifth go around now.
We're just going to keep coming back whenever he's a lawyer.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah. Although, you'd barely be off the show if that was the case, because he can't keep away from these roles. But very different type in this. You're right, Tim. I think it's great how he manipulates the townspeople and then the local news as well. He's especially good at kind of manipulating. He's always got like a one-liner and it's like a mic drop, but then he walks off. It's hilarious. But I think this is not a role I've seen him do in this role up until now. But he gets the assignment here. He is deadpan. He is like completely straight-faced in his delivery of this character. He knows he's being funny, but he's doing that thing where he's like, his performance is so committed to the truth of who this person is. Like the actor McConaughey knows what I'm doing is funny, but like, as you said, Danny Buck Davidson, like this is who he truly is. So I think McConaughey commits to those two layers. I thought he was the funniest person in this. Like, despite this being a McConaughey podcast, all the big laughs came from him for me in this.
Really? That is so interesting.
Because I get him as like the counterbalance to the absurdity of the rest of it.
Okay, so I saw him more as like the who am I thinking? I can't think what his name is now. The name's totally out of my head. Who's the Steve Carell character in The Office? David Brennan, I'm thinking of, but I can't think what his name is.
Michael Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him as that kind of the overconfident doofus character.
Yeah, I took it more as that the whole town is warmed to Bernie. The whole town can't imagine Bernie doing anything wrong, and even if he has done anything wrong, it's fine. She had it coming to her. We don't care. We don't want to send him to prison. That's for sure. And then along comes Danny Buck Davidson who says, I'm a lawyer. I'm looking at the law. I've got to do my job. And so he's kind of, despite the charm and the sympathy and the love that's been built up for the character that we've also been following. And I think that's maybe why Danny feels different to you as well, is because he's now on the other side, at which point we kind of go, well, I don't like him because the locals are saying, well, I don't like what you've got to do. But there's a difference between we don't like what you've got to do and we don't like you.
I hear you. Yeah.
And he's about the law. He's about the consequences that must be seen. But everyone else is just like, well, if it was up to me. And he's like, yeah, but it's not up to you. It's up to the court. And my job is to make sure that the outcome is a certain outcome. I don't care how I feel. I don't care if he's a local. I don't care if I knew him personally and liked him. My job is a particular one. And I think that's something I've appreciated as well. Amber really loves true crime. And we've watched a lot of true crime documentaries since we've been married. like 2 different whole documentaries in the last 24 hours.
Maybe even too many, I would.
It's okay.
Maybe the tone is suggesting.
No. It's a genre I've never been drawn to before, but I get drawn into them. But then you see defense lawyers or prosecutors, and you're like, why what? Based on what I've seen, I don't know why they would back this person or convict this person. But you've just got to remember that's their job. That they may realize that their client is guilty. Doesn't matter. They have got, their job is to give them the best defense. But Danny is on the other side of that. His job is to convict no matter what. So I just thought that's kind of, it's just a little thing that, maybe we forget, and the townspeople certainly forget. But McConaughey doesn't forget. He remembers that this is my role. I'm in here and I know that the characters around me are not going to like it, but I've got to play it straight because all the singing and dancing and acting and fun and absurdity and, you said Coen-esque kind of thing earlier. I also got like a little hints of Tim Burton at the very start of it. The way it starts, the tone could almost be that. But despite all that, he kind of brings it back to, no, this is a real crime. This is it almost regrounds it as a real story. I don't know. I just thought he was excellent in it, in that role. But yeah,
it's interesting that you found him really funny, like Michael Scott. And I do see what you mean, because I find Michael Scott hilarious, but in those moments he is being genuine. And I think Matthew McConaughey played that character exactly right, because that probably is exactly how that lawyer is. That defense attorney thinks he is so serious and he knows it all. He thinks that, but to us, it's like, you're a little silly.
Yeah. It's the scene when he gets like, this is my wheel of misfortune, and he spins it and he's like, if you're a drug dealer, I'm going to come and get you. You're not getting away. So it's these things, I think, like, he knows what he's doing here. It's brilliant. It's almost Bill Murray in Wild Things. I mean, a wildly different movie. But again, Bill Murray, how he plays the lawyer in that movie is very much, I know what I'm doing and I'm committed to this job, the character. But Bill Murray, the actor, is very committed to this role. And I'm being funny, but I'm being funny by playing it straight. I got that from McConaughey too.
I think it's another culture thing, not just a Texan culture, but an American culture of, there are these named lawyers, and I couldn't name any UK lawyers.
No, good point.
It's not a thing here. They'll name them in a news article about who's defending or prosecuting, but they are not celebrities. They do not get invited onto talk shows in the evening to talk about cases. It's just not a thing. Or maybe it is, but it's certainly not a thing I've ever seen. But in America, that's not the case. These are people who get their jobs because they campaign, who get their notoriety because they go on the news. They become somewhat celebrities, whether that be local celebrities or when a case is big enough, a national celebrity. And so these things that we think as being maybe a little bit caricature of, spinning a wheel of justice or whatever, that would seem so absurd here. We would not take a legal representative seriously. But that's what they've got to do to get their work. That's what they've got to do to get elected or hired or whatever it might be. So maybe that doesn't ring true to us as Brits, but it does to an American.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
So it's got to be part entertainer, part kind of lawyer, part,
They got to make a name for themselves rather than just do their job.
And remember too, like, as quoted in the article, Danny Buck he ate at that same diner every day for real. He was really a part of these towns. He went to church with all of these people. He didn't feel right about that this church money came from a dead woman. Like it didn't sit right with him because he was part of the town too. I think he was just bringing the other side of the coin, and he also happened to be a defense attorney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting though, because I don't know if in my watching of the movie, I understood how entrenched he was in the community. I almost felt like he was a bit of not an outsider, but I didn't feel like I wouldn't have known that without you telling me that, Amber, that he was proper in with the community and with everybody. Because I think the way that they push him away immediately because of the fact that he wants to convict Bernie. It almost felt like he was a little bit outside the community, but no, not at all. He was proper.
Yeah, he was part of these people. I think that's also, again, bringing it back to the point of Texas people and just, well, he's questioning how this money got to these people, but everybody else has been taught and groomed to say otherwise. Like, it doesn't matter.
For the donation. Thank you.
You need to be appreciative. Why are you like bucking against that?
Weirdly as well, that the scene in the diner where the locals are kind of bending his ear goes right back to McConaughey in Grisham, because that is such a John Grisham thing, that half of Grisham's books are set in the diner where the locals come up to the prosecutors or the defense attorneys and say to them, hey, I've heard this. What can you tell me? What can't you tell me? Well, did you know this? That is such a Grisham thing to do. And when you read it in Grisham, that's, it's quaint, small town stuff. And then you see it in this, and you're like, okay, maybe this is also real. Or I don't know whether it's played up in the film a little extra to make that link. But for my brain, it did. It really is. When you read Grisham, it's a lot of that.
I think maybe that's, I think I really do enjoy this movie. And, I really want to talk about the politics of it. I think, well, we move into that kind of phase, aren't we? And as you sort of discussed the main facets now, I think, of the actual film itself. But that's maybe a little nitpick then. I think I would have liked to have seen McConaughey dropped in as like a background actor, a bit more on some of the scenes. And maybe this was to do with how many days he was there. He probably did like 3 days or something and then jetted off to go do something else. But generally, if he'd been at some of the shots in church when we see Bernie singing, when we see the crowd, McConaughey's Davidson is sat there amongst them, I think that might have helped to add to that a little bit, that sense of community, that sense of his entrenchment in there.
Yeah, although he's such a recognizable actor that would it also pull you out of the film until he has to come into the film?
Yeah, because it's about half an hour, isn't it? In that he comes.
If I spot Matthew McConaughey in the crowd, 5 minutes into the film, and I don't know why, I'm going to be thinking to myself for the rest of the film, when does Matthew McConaughey come back, and why was he there? But yeah, no, that's true.
Maybe I'll have to go back and watch it. Maybe he is there, and actually he's just it's like where's Wally? Where's Matthew? Try and spot him in the crowd.
Actually, when the camera went round, he was in the room.
Yeah. So what do we think? We've skirted around it a couple of times. The idea of Bernie being a warm, wholesome. You're right, Amber, to bring up the fact that all the stuff he did with this money was all for good. It was like giving gifts to people who needed them, building a new wing for the church. It was all very positive what he did with the money, and I think the film is very biased to him. I agree with you. I think Linklater is clearly very biased towards liking this character, and it made for me, as we got towards the end of the movie, I was confused about what the message of the movie was and what he was trying to say, not just about the character of Bernie and this trial, but about this kind of small town America and this kind of I don't know, I maybe you guys can help crystallize this for me. I'm not sure. I enjoy this movie for entertainment, but I'm not sure where I land on what he wanted it to actually be about.
That is so interesting. I think maybe I'm just too Texan because I agree, and I think Linklater is too. I mean, it's like all of these people that helped write this film, they're all from Texas. They're all from this area. Like, we're a little too involved. Because by the end of the movie, I was fighting for Bernie. Like, no, there's got to be something in his past. Like, and I'm so glad they revised and wrote this new article, and they fully went to trial again. Again in a different county with a different set of jury, new judge, to try to explain this, what happened. And that's true. That is true crime. That is part of that is you get a lot of the behind the scenes of why these people have actually done what they've done. And I think that is what the message was from a fellow Texan. Like, yeah, remember there's stuff going on that nobody's really talking about.
Mm.
Even though they do mention it, you know, in Roundabout Law, oh, he wore sandals.
Yeah.
Well, Jesus wore sandals too.
I love that montage. That's the montage when I think a lot of it is McConaughey, as David said, talking about whether Bernie's gay or not, isn't it? And like his reasons for why people towns don't believe he's gay. And one of the key things is he's always wearing sandals. I love that. That's brilliant. I don't like the priest because he wears Bermuda shorts on his day off.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But that's a real thing. Yeah. That is so real to the culture. And it's so sad because it's very, you know, old school, and that's not as they're very conservative. So I understand why they feel like that. So it's so fascinating to me to hear that you actually felt like, okay, well, that was wrong. So why are we?
Yeah, I'm happy to consider the kind of circumstances and the motivations, and I think, you know, I'm as progressive and accepting it as anybody else. But at the end of the day, it is wrong, particularly the bit he does afterwards. And it's more the drive by Linklater, I think. You know, this bit in between, I think, is fascinating. The fact that when Bernie was put out on release on bail, that he was living with Linklater in an apartment above his garage it really muddies the waters for me there a little bit. And my brain just kept going through different messages as I was watching it. To begin with, I was thinking, like, is it all about like kind of apple pie America, but it's got like a rotten core, and Bernie's that rotten core? But it's not, because all the people are actually really nice and really genuine. And there's a moment where it's kind of like a criticism of capitalism and the fact that Davidson is all about kind of winning the case and looking good on TV. Is it a celebration of kind of these small town people and how they rally around somebody, and even if they've got flaws, I couldn't quite land on what I thought Linklater wants to say with it, really.
I wonder, because is he Austin?
He's Austin, yeah.
So he lives in Austin, and that's a very different vibe.
That's about 5 hours.
What is it the guy described Austin as? It's like it's kind of saying it's like the hipster.
Yeah.
Texas, I can't weirdos.
I can't remember. Yeah.
But that's where, you know, actors and directors, they're largely in Austin. And that's not a small town feel, although maybe a lot of those people have moved there from small towns. Yeah,
Austin is very liberal.
Yeah,
a lot of people have moved from California.
So I just kind of wonder whether maybe it is, in a way, Linklater wanting to just capture a different taste of Texas that isn't often seen on film, which is the small town Texas, that is the eccentric Texas. And, you know, to someone like Amber, who's grown up surrounded by this kind of people, oh yeah, that feels real, because there really was someone down the end of the road who was like that, you know. Whereas maybe Linklater both loves it and is confused, like bewildered by it. Because I think we discussed this about the jury feeling the way that they did and not taking certain things into account, or not being able to take certain things into account. And I feel like Linklater, this liberal view that he's maybe got, is like, yeah, why didn't they do that? If I took that into account, I would have voted differently. I would have felt differently. So I think he's just trying to bring that mindset that he's come into this town with. He's the outsider in a weird way. Although he's still Texan, he's kind of maybe bringing that as well, of confused about how this all played out the way it did. I don't know. It's fascinating.
I'm going to simplify it maybe too much, but I also wonder if Linklater said, do y'all remember in 1996 when Bernie Keaton shot that lady?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? And then made a movie about it. Do you know what I mean? That is how the movie feels, just like, oh yeah, let's shoot that.
Yeah. But the fact that he's made it into kind of a bit of a black comedy, the fact that it's playing with kind of truth and fiction, and it's you know, we're looping back around, but that's kind of good because we're getting to the end. It's so fascinating. I think this is a movie I would read essays and essays and essays about, and critical ones who want to absolutely rip it apart and say, how dare they, you know, make light of this situation. But also ones that say, like, that are delving into the process behind Linklater's thinking and the writer's thinking, because of course he brought the writer of the article with him, didn't he, to script the movie. So I think there's so much that could be written about this, and I'd be fascinated to read it all.
Oh, well, I will copy and paste those articles for you, because I think they'd be fascinating reads for you.
Mm.
And how many actual direct quotes were made, they pulled from the article, but those quotes were from the people.
Yeah.
Film.
And the fact that he's done another Skip Hollandsworth article into another film. Because Hitman is also a Skip Hollandsworth article in the Texas Monthly that was then sent to him and said, what about this story next? And he made that. So I think he's fascinated by these stories, and he wants to tell Texan stories. And I know McConaughey has recently set up his own production house, hasn't he? To try and tell Texan stories. So I understand these guys getting on board with this. It's just, they've got maybe more life experience and world view and experience than the people in the town. And that maybe brings this little clash and this little uncertainty that he clearly feels like he can be friends with the real Bernie. And he clearly feels like he's no threat to him, and he's happy to invite him into his home. But then you also have, a character played by Matthew McConaughey who's like, I'm not going to do that. I don't know why everyone else is feeling as at ease with him as they are. So he wants to present both, but it's very clear how Linklater feels.
It is, yeah. And I think maybe that's what's bothering me a little bit. Maybe if this was a full true crime, it would be a bit more objective. It would be a bit less one-sided and biased. But I think it's what I'm going to come back to. As you said, Tim, this is third time for you, fourth time for you, Amber. I think I can see why it's one I might come back to. And the next time I'm not going to be watching it because it's for McConaughey. It's because I want to see and understand a bit more about the case. Maybe it'll be after I've read the article, and then I'll go back and watch it again, or try and delve into this a little bit more for myself to kind of feel, I don't know, it feels like there is a purpose, and it feels like there could be something really important being said here. And I don't think I've quite grasped it yet.
Is he trying to do what a lot of the recent true crimes have done, things like through Netflix? Is he trying to get the case reopened?
Well, it essentially did, didn't it? I mean, that's how it ended up getting how Bernie got got put out on bail and released and into his custody, was because of this is what people argued, didn't they? The depiction of Bernie in this movie was so, to use your word again, warm. People are like, wow, come on then. Come on then. If this is who Bernie is. Yeah. And of course, the whole family are like, no, this isn't who he is. He's a cold-blooded killer. He's a chancer. He's I can't think what the word is, but he's kind of come in and taken all our. He's like a
con man or a narcissist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. He's like a con man who's come in and stolen all our grandmother's money. And I know that's a thorny subject in terms of how the family were all getting on, but
yeah, I think that's true too. Like, and it's so funny rewatching it because I felt exactly the same. Like, these people the family came in and cried in court and acted like they cared, but they hadn't spoken in 4 years. Like, I was so on Bernie's side, and I don't know if I feel bad about that or not, but it's just, it is such a juxtaposition to be in.
Yeah. And that instead of making a documentary about him, they made a feature film, and that it had the same effect that a lot of the Netflix documentaries have, of people re-examining the case. Maybe it gets them a parole hearing or something. He just did it with the tools he had, which was, he makes a good feature film and he's got some good actors he can call, and he did. And in 22 days they made this film, which holds up as a great film, but also maybe got them part way down the road that he wanted to, if not all the way.
Yeah, I mean, you see this list of underrated movies. I mean, this is right at the top of mine now.
Ooh, nice.
Some people say, what's a film you've seen that nobody talks about, that you can't really quite believe? This has got to be up there, because I can't quite believe that this is just basically nobody's seen it.
Yeah, I know, that is so true. And I love this film, so I will rewatch it at any point, as like to show other people, because it is so close to home. It's like, no, I want to show them this because this is the culture I came from. It's nice to to see y'all's reaction to that too, because y'all are a totally different culture. So it's nice to get thoughts on that. And
it's so funny for me, having seen it before I'd ever been to America, and then having seen it again now twice, since not just I've been to America, but I've been to Texas. I've been to that exact part of Texas, and I now live with a woman from that exact part of Texas. And I liked it the first time I saw it, but it does take on a whole new perspective once you realize, no, that this is not a fake world. This is really what that part of Texas is like. And I know that was the 90s, and I went there 20 plus years later. Still, it still kind of has that vibe.
Yeah, and there's a quote from one of the townspeople. It's one of the women that my grandma knows, and I think she puts it really well, because she says there are people that would have shot her for $5.
Right. Yeah.
Because when you're from a small town, you have to be nice to people. And I think that's where this whole thing comes from, is that he's now part of this town, and he's nice. And that's why they like him. Everyone's like, well, at least he's nice. That's what they wanted the whole time, was just somebody to be nice. Anyway, this is a great piece of film. I love it.
Oh, I think we could stop recording now. Sorry, Amber. We could stop recording now. We could start again, and we could talk for the same amount of time, no problems, on a couple of different aspects of the movie, because we hadn't got around to those on this first recording. I think there's so much we could delve into on this.
Sorry. We ran long.
No, that wasn't criticism. I think this, it's so open, I think, isn't it, to different readings, into different things to discuss. I mean, you could talk for an hour just on Jack Black's performance, I think, and how this fits in with his career and people's view of him. And we've barely spoken about Shirley MacLaine. Do you know what I mean? Which is, we haven't spoken about her at all. I think this is the first time we've mentioned her name, which is crazy because of who we're talking about. But
there's something weird about Shirley MacLaine's performance, and I don't know how quite to word it, but she is by far the least developed character in a weird way. Like we get moments with her, but it's always almost like you're with someone else. You're always on someone else's side going to her. So you're with them. Yeah. And I can't kind of word it better than that. But
they're our point of view character for the scene.
Yeah. So we only kind of get how they see her for a brief period. We never really get much time with her. It's always like, oh, we're recounting this thing about her, or we're already annoyed with her because he's annoyed with her, and then we go and confront her, or whatever it may be. And she's excellent. Shirley MacLaine's phenomenal in this role. But the character, it is not about the victim. And I think that's maybe the weakness of the film that a lot of the criticisms are going to focus on, is that we do learn a little about her, and there is maybe some surface sympathy for her mentioned, but the film does not talk about her as a victim.
That's on purpose.
It is definitely, but it's also strange, isn't it? Like with all the true crime stuff that you watch, that, we're always told to remember the victims and remember someone, someone was.
That's what I'm saying. When you talked about, sorry, we just two more seconds about this. Just that was on purpose, because the way the people didn't know her, nobody knew her. Her family didn't know her. Like that's why they did that.
So that all you've got is
that's all you have, because that's all everybody got anyway.
Okay,
we don't have the truth.
We just have the rumor that they all spread. Okay. I mean, that's a fair reason to do it, but it also, it's just a very interesting, you've got this A-list, veteran actress, and yet the role, I don't know, she doesn't have that much nuance to it.
No, I wrote down, and I know how this phrase could be misconstrued, and I'm sure you two and people who listen get why I've written it down. I wrote down the words resting bitch face. Because she just has this one look the whole time, doesn't she? Like it basically never ever changes, and it's a performative thing. And I don't mean it as a criticism and rudely towards her, because that's the character she's playing. But it's totally that, isn't it? It's just like she just looks mean all the time, no matter what is going on. Yeah, especially
we've had some lovely meals in that particular restaurant, and you do not have to chew their refried beans for that long. They're beautifully cooked, and the food was excellent. You do not need to chew it 25 times.
That's funny.
All right. I mean, it's just, like I say, I'm gonna read a couple of letterbox. We're gonna stop recording, and then we're gonna start again. Yeah. We're all right with that?
Yeah.
Burning part 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I've got quite. We try to get some balance, namely. So let's see what a couple of people have to say. Tyler says Jack Black and Richard Linklater are such a delightful combination, as just like in School of Rock. Jack Black delivers another charismatic and wonderful performance. Matthew McConaughey is also perfect here in yet another lawyer role, but I wanted much more of him. Bernie Teed, is that how you say his name?
Tita.
Bernie Teeder is a fascinating character, just as Gary Johnson is in Hitman. But once the first third of establishing the character, his city, and his world is through, I started to lose most of my interest in this. So quite mixed.
I mean, it sounds like that person came back to this film after seeing Hitman. So that's interesting that, yes, we're saying that this film is one of those unseen gems, but actually, because Linklater's got some big films out this year, I think he's done 2 films in the last year, maybe it will cause people to revisit this or, TV channels to put it on because it's the Linklater film they've got the rights to. So
that's interesting.
That would be nice.
It's one of those ones that you can almost imagine when we get the Jack Black career retrospective. That's this is definitely what people are going to look back on and be like, this was his Jim Carrey Truman Show, or I don't know, like that's maybe a bad example because it's great.
It's Adam Sandler in Punch Drunk Love. Right,
yeah. And again, I don't know why more people don't talk about it because Jack Black has fallen into that trap that many comedic actors do of like kind of just do that same role again and again and again. But here, absolutely not. This is a total kind of complete transformative performance, isn't it?
Yeah. Just a tiny fun fact that I thought of when you were reading that one from the letterbox. School of Rock. The guy that plays Spider, he's now a district attorney in Tyler, Texas, which is right there as well.
Yeah. Nice.
Which is funny.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's got a whole
full circle, yeah.
Okay, so that was the middling one. Laura says, I didn't enjoy this at all, and Matthew McConaughey was not in it enough. These are caps, by the way. The extras or townspeople were great, but I didn't find this as cute and charming as I think it was supposed to be. I think this is the third Linklater movie I've seen, and I haven't liked one of them.
Oh, Laura. Which ones have you been watching, Laura?
Maybe it does make you not for her.
No. But also, he has such a varied filmography.
I mean, School of Rock is a million miles from, Before Sunset. So.
Yeah. I mean, you would never know that was the same director, would you?
No.
So, yeah, unfortunately, she doesn't list what ones she has seen. But if she gets in touch, then we can give her a list of the ones that she should be watching, right?
We'll have her on the podcast.
Oh. Well, we had fun coming to talk about this. Thank you.
Yeah, no, always. Thank you. And like I say, there's so many fascinating things that you bring to the table, the pair of you, in terms of your real life experiences as well.
Thanks. I've never shot anyone in Texas, but I can't bring that to it. But
no, but just watch your back is what I say. Living with that black and white Texan lady behind you, you never know. She's even sitting slightly behind you from this angle for me.
Yeah.
No, she treats me very well, and I have no fear.
Yeah. I'll get my hat on and I'll spin my wheel and I'm coming for you, Amber. You watch it.
Yeah. Spin your wheel of fortune.
Oh, thank you, guys. Obviously, it's been a little while since we heard from you in terms of a podcast. I think the Medical Roundup podcast was your last one.
Yeah.
What have you got coming up? What can people be looking forward to see from you?
Yeah, well, we will also talk about Matthew McConaughey in one of his most recent, which is Lost Bus. We'll bring that up.
We're also going to go to things like Frankenstein. We've got a couple of thrillers that have kind of had quieter releases in the UK that we've watched on VOD, things like Drop, and then also Relay, I think. So we've got quite a thrilling couple episodes coming up.
And I can't wait to talk about Predator.
Oh, okay.
Very different.
Badlands, yeah.
So,
Are you doing Badlands, or are you doing a bit of a Predator retrospective?
Ooh, we haven't yet had a production meeting to discuss how we're going to handle all of these. Because I sat down this week and made the list of what we need to discuss. And yeah, because we've had to have a bit of a break, we've got so much to catch up on. But we're tempted maybe to do a bit of a franchise revisit, which might be the best way to handle Predator and take it into context. But that's the same as with this podcast, taking an actor's role, in context of their other work really helps you to see the development. So, as you sing Matthew McConaughey going into his dramatic, award baiting phase, this is a nice time for him. Well, maybe some other films we're going to talk about have got similar things going on.
Yeah, a little bit lighter considering, like you said, we're about to get Dallas Buyers Club and Killer Joe, and he's about to hit his dark phase for sure.
Yeah. But he wants to stretch his
chops,
doesn't he? So
he does. So as this is the Jack Black, this is Jack Black's movie, really, isn't it? So if this was a Jack Black filmography, would be an absolute classic. Obviously, McConaughey's in 10 scenes, half a dozen 10 scenes, and doesn't go into a half an hour through. So where do you think this is in the kind of scale of importance for him? Is this a classic worth catching, or because he's not in it that much, is it only really for completists only?
I would say it's for completists only because this hits so close to home for him. He had to be in it. Mm-hmm. Even like what I said earlier about his interview, he fought really hard to play Bernie. Mm-hmm. He wanted this role, but even though he got this smaller role, I think this was obviously nothing to write home about with his performance and his whole filmography. It's a little blip on the map, but it's an important one to him personally. So
I think that actually makes it more than just a completist one. I think it's one that it's not a must watch, but I think it's not far off because he gets to play someone closest to the people he grew up around. He knows these people. This is a part of the world he spent a lot of his life in. He still goes back there, doesn't he? To Longview. Yeah. So I think if you want to know what formed Matthew McConaughey into the man he is, you need to watch him play this role. So I think for that reason, it makes it a slightly more important one to see if you're trying to understand the actor.
So more in the worth catching realm.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Amazing. Thank you both. None of us can agree on anything, but that's great. That's why this is such a great talking point. It provides us with so much to talk about.
Yeah.
Hence part 2 coming very soon.
It's a slight but bright McConaughey performance, this one, but in a film that is fascinating, with layers worth a watch and then a rewatch. Tim and Amber brought their usual respective expertise to the show once again, so I thank them kindly for their time. As I also thank you two listeners for your continued engagement and participation as we journey through the McConaissance. That was Bernie. Next up in a fortnight, Spider Dan returns to the show to discuss Eminem's performance as the titular character in William Friedkin's Killer Joe, for those that are watching along. Until next time, be excellent to each other and make sure you take the time to treat yourself too. I am Jack signing off. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers.
You just gotta keep living, man. Livin.
Cut.
On that trip to Belize, they stayed in the same room. And you know damn right well they saw each other in their underwear. And I know for sure that when she went to Shreveport, get some sexy lingerie at that Doors lingerie shop, She got herself a see-through nightgown that showed her breast. I mean, give me a break. What is a woman her age wanting to do showing her boobs? Seriously. Disgusting.